Hi guys, this is my very first year using the Harvest Host camping membership, and I'd like to share with you my adventure and my review of the program. Hey, it's my very first Harvest Host, and I couldn't get off to a better start. And yes, they did tell me to park right in front of the winery, front and center. It wasn't a long drive to Sparks, Georgia, so I got to make a day of it. What was my purchase at my first winery? A glass of beer. After a nice lunch in my camper, I went out and picked grapes. Look at these beautiful muscadines. Now, I had no idea I was going to be picking grapes on this part of the journey, but I couldn't pass up this opportunity. Now, this is the first year I got the Harvest Host membership because I knew that in the next few months I'd be in Northern California, and I love the idea of bouncing around to different vineyards. Now, the deal with Harvest Host, of course, is that you get to stay at these locations for free, and then you're expected to make a purchase of some sort. And I was a tiny bit concerned that if I was staying at vineyards a lot, I'd be buying a bottle of wine everywhere I went, and being a binge drinker, probably not the best idea. But at my very first Harvest Host, I began to realize there are several options as far as your purchase goes. I mean, they might have a gift shop with t-shirts and mugs like this one has, and then they also have a restaurant here. It was here that I learned from a couple other campers that I maybe should have got the golf resort option. I think it's an extra $10 or $20 per year. In my short-sightedness, I didn't choose that option because I thought they'd make me golf. But apparently that's not the case, and you have other purchase options just like here. If you do come to Horse Creek Winery, the bacon, cheeseburger, and fries is an absolute must. Everybody will tell you that. I'm telling you, you gotta do it. And do you know what else I really liked about my first boondocking experience at a Harvest Host? Well, they're one-nighters, and you're rarely going to have to unhitch. I find that really makes a big difference when you want to take off early the next morning. Accursio Farms wasn't even open for the season when I called to make my reservations, but Sam said, "Come on in." Now, I won't lie, I did hesitate a little bit, but I really had no problem navigating this. I was then directed to a nice, hard, wide path in the middle of this bean field. Now, I'm a brand new rookie at this Harvest Host thing, but I'm beginning to realize that part of the fun of doing this is just having the most interesting campsites ever. The other part of the fun is making the actual purchase. Now, there wasn't much of a selection because they were closed, and so the shelves were pretty bare, but I quickly found what I wanted. And those pickles didn't last long. I had chicken salad sandwiches waiting for me back at camp, so I made quick work of those pickles. Did I mention I'm camping right in the middle of a bean field? Now you might be wondering, what the heck do you do in the middle of a bean field? Well, it actually looks like a very interesting area. I mean, there's miles and miles of nurseries and fruit stands and lots of interesting places to visit, and there's a casino nearby too. Now, I'm not one to unhitch for a one-nighter, but I could have got my e-bike out. But you know what? I was feeling kind of lazy. I was feeling kind of calm. So I literally sat outside in the middle of this bean field and read for hours. I had not done that in years. It really doesn't hurt when you have a sunset like this to set the mood. Bill E's restaurant in Fairhope, Alabama is known for having the best bacon in the U.S. In fact, they ship their bacon all over the country, but I prefer to eat my bacon right here at Billy's. Personally, I just love rustic restaurants with great food. Now, I'm not kidding when I tell you this, but this amazing smell of bacon, this aroma, just permeates the entire restaurant, and your stomach just grumbles while you're waiting on your food. One of the menu options here is a side of bacon, and I'm sure a lot of people do it. I love bacon. In my younger years, I could have sat down and ate a pound of this bacon. But I chose a healthier option instead. This delicious bacon cheeseburger. You know, at this point in time, this is only the third Harvest Host I've been to, but what's really impressing me so far is how much the hosts care about their campers. Billy's is even creating more space next to their event center so they can accommodate more RVers. The following morning, I wasn't in a big rush to get to my next stop, so I kind of hung out in my new office for a little bit. Next thing you know, the owner of the restaurant came out and greeted me. gave me a tour of the facility, and to my surprise, he has a studio. All right, so this is the owner of Bill E's, and he has a little studio here where he does podcasts. Can you tell me a little bit about the podcast?
Yeah, well, my name's Billy Stitt, and I make small batch bacon. We're here at Billy's Restaurant and Billy's Small Batch Bacon, and built this little studio here on the side of the restaurant after 18 trees fell on everything from the 2 hurricanes.
Yeah.
Figured if I was going to build it back, I might as well make it fun. So built a little tin roof little studio, a couple of directors' chairs here where my friends and I can sit in here and talk to each other about the products they make, and learn about what it's like to be a maker, whether it's Key Southern Spice or Dr. Bill's cane and maple syrup.
Yeah, can you show me some of those?
Yeah. So this is a good buddy of ours from Metairie, Louisiana. He's an orthopedic surgeon that decided he wanted to blend cane and maple syrup, and it is amazing. And another good friend of ours is the Keys family. This young lady created this brand of spices, which they make it right here in Fairhope. And it's a wonderful story. She's a great young lady that loves the food industry, and we use her stuff to blacken all of our chicken, steak, shrimp, and we put it on everything.
Cool.
So,
Very good.
Come and visit us at Billy's sometime and use our little studio to talk about your brand and get to know our brand.
So on my first 3 stops, I have noticed a trend with my purchases. So far, I've purchased about 8 beers, 2 bacon cheeseburgers with fries, and a jar of pickles. So obviously, I believe in proper nutrition. But now it's time to exercise the mind a little bit and take in some history. So with the basic Harvest Host membership, you not only get wineries, restaurants, and farms, but also museums. Vermillionville is a must-see if you're interested in Cajun history and the cultures that lived in Louisiana before the U.S. purchased it. This included the Native Americans, the Acadians or Cajuns who were exiled from Canada, and later on the Creoles. Even if you don't love history, you can really enjoy the architecture here in this beautiful setting. The ticket price is around $10 and you can easily spend 2 to 3 hours here. My favorite exhibit was this ferry, which was literally pulled across the river using ropes and the mere strength of men. And yet once again, no unhitching necessary, and I'm in a beautiful setting, this time right next to a pond. San Elizario, Texas is a very festive border town near El Paso. The historic district is actually quite tiny. It consists of one little street with a few art galleries, a couple restaurants, and a church, and that's pretty much it. The jail has a little bit of history. Billy the Kid actually posed as a Texas Ranger to break out a friend here. Before this area became Texas, this chapel actually served as a fort to protect Spanish territory. I actually arrived here a couple weeks before Christmas, and I tell you, the festivities were in full swing. It's hard to tell from my lonely images here, but apparently the locals here put on festivals every weekend for the tourists. The host, Pisteleros, was quite accommodating. Now I have to be very honest with you, authentic Mexican is very hit or miss for me. I found the food here to be just okay, but the beer was cold and the staff was very friendly. In fact, my bartender even showed me the theater before they had a very lively concert that evening. But even though Pisteleros had a packed concert, a packed bar, and a packed parking lot, I slept very well that night. And judging from my other neighbors' demeanors in the morning, I think they had a nice time as well. So far on my Harvest Host journey, I've visited 3 wineries and restaurants, 1 farm, and 1 museum. Now, let's add 1 ghost town to the mix. Shakespeare Ghost Town in Lordsburg, New Mexico is a little bit off the beaten path, and you don't see any billboard signs for it on the interstate. It's one of those hidden treasures where you might never have found had it not been for Harvest Hosts. And for $7 you not only enjoy an hour-and-a-half tour, but you get to meet a lot of other RVers. So you know how at campgrounds you sometimes meet your neighbors, sometimes you don't. Some are travelers, some are stationary, some are residents. With Harvest Hosts, you're meeting RVers who are passionate about traveling, and I love that. Now, just a word of warning about Shakespeare Ghost Town. This is in a canyon in New Mexico, and if you come during the colder months, it might be in the 50s during the day, but it can get down to 15 degrees at night. Just make sure your propane tanks are full. Now, you may have already figured out from this video, I've had a great time with Harvest Host. But is it a good value? Well, I can break down the numbers for you. The basic membership is $99 a year, and I'm a solo RVer, so I'm just going to go based off my solo numbers here. So basically, if I use this membership 10 times per year, I'm paying $10 for the privilege of staying at these properties. Now, you're expected to make a purchase, of course. I usually spend about 20 bucks on average. So based on 10 times per year, I'm paying $30 for each experience. Now, you may have noticed I use the word experience. You're not paying $30 to boondock. You're paying for an experience everywhere you go. Whether it's a winery, a brewery, or a farm, or a museum, they're all experiences. And these experiences are only a few feet from your front door. That's the really cool thing about it. Is there any downside to the program? Well, I would only say this: for the frugal RVer like me, I think I have to use it 10 times per year to make it worthwhile. And most years I'll easily do that. In fact, I joined Harvest Host mid-year. This is 2021, and I expect to use it in 2022 at least 10 times. So I'm going to use it at least 15 or 16 times. So now I think I may have the perfect trifecta of discount camping memberships. I have Thousand Trails with a Trails collection. I have Passport America, and now Harvest Host. I'm just giddy. So if you'd like to find out more about how to sign up for Harvest Host or any of these memberships, please check out my description page and click on those links. Those help me out so I create more valuable content. Be sure to look for my 2022 video of my Harvest Host adventure as I head to Northern California, Montana, Idaho, and some of the Great Plains. As for now, I would recommend Harvest Host to almost anyone. Folks, if this information was valuable to you, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help me out. That's all I got for now. Safe travels, and I'll see you next time.